Welcome back to the Knickknack Review. I am your host, Clint the Knickknack, and today we're talking about What If, Episode 6. Let's get started. So in this episode, it ponders the question, what if Killmonger saved Tony from the 10 rings? What would life be like without Iron Man? Without his experience in the caves, he doesn't have a change of heart, both literally and figuratively. He doesn't have a conviction to close down his operations and stop all the stuff that he was doing before. He also doesn't have any motivation to build a suit around the world and keep it really protected. He's still this arrogant guy that is just this billionaire playboy philanthropist that we saw in the very first Iron Man right before he got captured. Now, it's not until Killmonger actually tells Tony about his dream to build his own Iron Man suit. Now, of course, it's not like an Iron Man suit, it's more of a Killmonger suit, but he doesn't have this motivation or this inspiration to build anything of that sort because he didn't go through what we all know he went through. And besides, we don't get an arc reactor. Considering Killmonger saved Tony's life and he's basically in his debt, he jumps at the opportunity to actually provide Killmonger with whatever he needs. He decides, hey, you know what? Give me your idea. I'll bring it to life. I'll give you the money, the resources, technology, whatever, and we'll bring your dream to fruition. Now, this is where the story really, truly veers off from the original story. It was kind of similar, even though he didn't get saved. You saw him going through different forms of building the suit and stuff like that and building the tech. But this is where it really deviates from what we know as Iron Man. This whole concept of Killmonger getting a suit actually leads to an army with Wakanda and his, I guess you would say his drive to earn his place in Wakanda as the leader, or rather, king. And since he actually, spoiler alert, in case you haven't seen it yet, but since he actually kills Rhodey and T'Challa, he technically becomes a new Black Panther. It's like a snowball effect just from saving Tony. All of this happens. Oh, and how many times are we going to have to witness Tony Stark dying in this series? I mean, come on, man. Like, seriously, we know he dies in Endgame. Does that mean he has to die in every single episode? Spoiler alert, he dies in every episode so far. And it's just, I don't understand. We get it. He died. He's not coming back. We don't have to keep witnessing it in every single universe. Haven't we suffered enough? You know, I gotta say, this episode really felt like a movie. And what I mean is not that the others did not feel like a movie, but with certain recreations of certain scenes, it really had that cinematic feel to it. Like in the previous episode, you kind of saw, T'Challa as Star-Lord, you saw him in the role, and certain scenes were recreated, but not a lot of them were. Whereas in this one, quite a few were, and it was just, with the animation that they use, there's a form of realism to it. Unfortunately, there is a form of cartoon buffoonery to it. And that's where I start to see the Pixar come out, and especially when some of the fights happen. As cool as some of it looks, it definitely falls short. But in general, what I'm saying is that it really felt more cinematic than the previous episodes. So I really appreciate that aspect. It was a really great episode with returning cast, Chadwick Boseman, Don Cheadle, Michael B. Jordan, just to name a few. I actually had to laugh at one scene because it was the part where Tony and Killmonger are at a party and Pepper approaches them, and as she's approaching them, you look at the people in the background and they're moving like Wreck-It Ralph. It was kind of felt off a little bit. I don't know. It was kind of a weird kind of like robotic feel to it. It's like they weren't paying much attention, or at least that they were hoping the audience wasn't paying attention, that you wouldn't notice the people just kind of moving in the background a little bit. One thing I really appreciate about this show, so far at least, is that this is a very episodic show, and it shows different outcomes in different universes, and it's not something that you really truly have to invest a whole lot of time in, meaning that you don't have to pay attention to every detail, and then to understand everything. There are certain Easter eggs and, of course, changes you'll notice, but it's not like going into a whole story that it'll pay off in the end. I can enjoy each episode, and that's it. It's definitely a break from the previous shows like WandaVision and Falcon and Winter Soldier, the ones that actually are taken a little more seriously. This is a nice a comforting break. And of course, it's a cartoon, but at the same time, even though it's a cartoon, it's something that adults can really appreciate as well, considering the majority of the fans of these movies are adults because they're fans from all the way back from, you know, like the 60s and everything. So like the real fans are watching this and they're watching this show and is like, oh, okay, well, I can appreciate it while the kids are also watching it and enjoying it for a completely different reason. All in all, I think this was a great episode. This was a little bit more serious. Again, unfortunately, it has a death of Tony, so I guess each one that has a death of Tony, so far it's all of them except the first. Well, that about does it for me, guys. Let me know in the comments below what you thought about this episode. Let me know what you're hoping to see in the next episode. And also, while you're there, don't forget to, well, you know what to do. As always, I am Clint the Knickknack, and I will see you on the next one.